That young boy was completely and utterly stunned. Meanwhile, Feng Xin and Mu Qing both wished that they could grow several more arms and legs to smother Xie. With great difficulty, they finally pulled him down. Yet, Xie effortlessly pushed them away and said, "All right, I'm done. I know I violated the rules, but you just pretend you've heard nothing and all will be well. As long as you guys don't say anything, no one will know. Just this once, don't say anything. You hear me?" Mu Qing looked like he'd been forced to eat a sock and shook his head, muttering, "I can't believe you saying something like, 'Live on for me,' with such confidence. You're really—" Xie didn't think that what he said was much of anything, but hearing Mu Qing, now it sounded like it was quite something indeed, and he flushed a bright red color. Feng Xin immediately frowned. Enough. His Highness already said not to speak of it, so why are you still talking about it? Yet the corners of his lips were twisted. Xie couldn't stand it any more and defended himself. What? What I said clearly worked. Look." That young boy sat dazedly for a long while, but when no more of Xien's voice came, he rubbed hard at his face, reached for the offering plate on the altar, held it in his arms, and started munching at the dried out fruits and refreshments. He chewed and chewed vigorously, looking like a small animal, both vicious and pitiful. Xie bent down to watch him, a smile appearing on his face. He said to the other two, "You see, it worked. He refused to eat before, but now he's eating." "All right, fine, it works. Because you're a god," Mu Qing said. Right, it works. Because you're a god," Feng Xin said too. Xie straightened and became serious once more. "That's right. I'm a god. I called both of you over because I've indeed come to a decision." In an instant, the relaxed atmosphere turned heavy again. "What do you want us to do?" Feng Xin asked, while Mu Qing questioned, "Are we still minding this matter?" "We are. It's simple," Xie said. "There's not enough water in the kingdom of Shenle, so we'll go to the kingdoms outside Shenle." "Go to the other kingdoms?" Mu Qing asked, hesitant. "Wouldn't that be too far? We'd need to borrow water-creating spiritual devices from some water god and impose ourselves in the territories of other heavenly officials. They might not be willing." Of course, Xie had considered this. "I'm going to give it a shot. It's still better than doing nothing. You two stay and continue to watch over Yong'an. Assist the worst affected areas, and I will return to the heavenly court. Any problems?" "No problems. I've got your back," Feng Xin said. Mu Qing gave it some thought and questioned, "Then what about all the prayers from the devotees at the temple of the Crown Prince, Your Highness?" "I was going to get to that," Xie replied. "Pick out the important ones and take care of them for me. The not-so-dire ones can wait." Mu Qing didn't look too optimistic, but still acknowledged, "You're the Crown Prince, we'll listen to you. But I'd advise not to let them wait too long." Xie patted their shoulders. Feng Xin and Mu Qing bowed, then departed, leaving only Xie and that child in the small shrine. Xie exited the shrine and took a glance back, but didn't stay a moment longer, rushing straight for the heavenly court. Initially, he was going to pay a visit to the few heavenly officials that controlled water, but strangely, a number of them were away from the heavenly court, and only the Rainmaster, who didn't reside in the heavens, was around. Xie was hurrying down the streets of the court and bumped into a black-clad woman official with a number of scrolls in her arms. She smiled. "Your Highness, you're finally back." Shelian immediately asked, "Nangong, you've come in the nick of time. Do you know where the Rainmaster's residence is located?" This black-clad woman was named Nangong Jie and was a low-ranking civil official from the middle court. After Shelian had ascended, much of the grunt work and errands were taken care of by her. This individual was well informed of news and handled affairs well, so Shelian thought well of her. The Lord Rainmaster's new palace hasn't finished construction yet, so the current residence is temporarily situated at the kingdom of Yusha in the south, Nangong Jie said. She gave him the address to the Rainmaster's residence, then added, "Why are you looking for the Lord Rainmaster?" "For urgent business. Thanks for your help," Shelian said. He was about to leave, but turned back and cleared his throat, sounding embarrassed. "Nangong, you're more familiar with the heavenly officials of the upper court. Can you tell me if the Lord Rainmaster likes anything?" Usually, when a newly appointed heavenly official ascended, the clever ones would pay a visit to all the palaces of every official and greet them with gifts as a form of social salutation. This was pretty much an unspoken rule, but Shelian had ascended too suddenly, and when he first arrived, no one taught him. It was only afterwards that the Gorsha reminded him, but by then it was already too late, and things would have been awkward. Also, something like this felt too much like backhanded bribery, and as a crown prince, Shelian didn't appreciate the practice. In the end, he decided to just go about things naturally, hoping for a chance to build relationships with the other officials through more genuine means. It was an admirable act, but now he'd turned back on it and proactively asked after what a heavenly official would like, sounding quite obvious, like he was about to bribe someone. So he couldn't help but blush with shame. However, he had no other choice. The other gods who resided at the heavenly court communicated through the spiritual communication array, and that would have made negotiation much easier. The Rainmaster was involved in none of these interactions, so for a first visit, Shelian didn't want people to misunderstand that he'd be borrowing spiritual devices for nothing. Nangong Jie immediately understood. "Regrettably, I'm afraid I can't help your highness in this," she said. "The Lord Rainmaster is quite low-key. Not just me, but there's probably no one in the entire heavenly realm who knows this Lord's personal interests. Sorry." Shelian reddened. "No worries. Don't take it to heart. Thanks." Nangong Jie added, "But if my lord has anything the matter, it won't hurt to pay a visit directly. By the Lord Rainmaster's temper, you might still be very well received." Shelian thanked her again and followed her direction, going southward, arriving at the temporary residence of the Rainmaster. It was a small village, the mountains green and the waters clear, a land of picturesque scenery. But Shelian had no mind to appreciate it. He crossed through the ridges of fields and finally saw a stone slate with the word rain engraved on it. This meant that after passing the stone slate, it would be the temporary domain of the Rainmaster, and those working within it should all be the Rainmaster's subordinates. But as Shelian walked, it was only lush green fields all around. In the fields were oxen mooing, mills turning, assiduous farmers planting rice, and next to the fields was a small, crooked, thatched cottage. There was neither trace nor signs of divinity, and Shelian wondered if he'd gone in the wrong direction. Wasn't this only an impoverished, small, farming village? While he was doubting himself, a black ox from the field further away suddenly mooed twice. It stood back on its hind legs, the forelegs stretched, and it helped itself removed the plough from its own back. That strong and solid body narrowed, the long oxen snout shrank, and within the blink of an eye it had transformed from a buff black ox to a barebacked farmer. That farmer was tall and strong, his muscles well defined, his expression stubborn. His nose had a steel nose ring hooked through like that of an ox. A long weed hung from his lips. The other farmers witnessed this extraordinary transformation, but continued to work like it was nothing. Thus, Tian concluded that no one there was mortal, and approached, raising his hands and folding them into a polite fist. "Fellow cultivator, may I inquire if this is the temporary residence of the Lord Rainmaster?" That black ox farmer pointed to the field bank across, and replied, "Yeah, the Lord Rainmaster lives there." Tian looked around several times before confirming that in the pointed direction there was indeed only that thatched cottage that looked like it would topple from a mere breeze, and for sure leaked on a rainy day. Even his most shabby, decrepit shrines looked more solid than that little cottage. Tian was full of wonder. They said that the Lord Rainmaster was of royal descent, like himself, from the kingdom of Yusha, and it was for this reason that he didn't bring any precious gems or rare treasures as a greeting gift, thinking that perhaps the Rainmaster felt the same way he did with regard to those things, which was disdain. Why such destitution after ascension? Maybe it was another form of cultivation. Without forgetting his manners, Tian thanked the farmer and approached the little cottage, calling with a loud and clear voice, "Lord Rainmaster, please forgive this Prince of Shenla for making this abrupt visit without prior notice." There was no response from within the cottage, and that farmer came forward, hauling the plough. "Oh, you are the Crown Prince who ascended at the age of 17? "Regrettably," Tian said. "It's nothing regrettable, it's the truth," the farmer said. "But the Lord Rainmaster doesn't like meeting people and was recently injured, so I'm afraid you won't be received today." Hearing this, Tian felt disappointed, but still wanted to keep trying. "Then, may I ask you to pass on a message for me? I have an urgent request. However, if the Lord Rainmaster should feel inconvenienced by it, I won't push." The farmer chuckled. "No need to pass on word. We all know why you're here. It feels bad, right, having no water in Shenla?" Tian was taken aback. "You know about the affairs of Shenla?" "Of course I know," the farmer said. "It's not just us here in this shoddy mountain ravine. At present, who doesn't know that catastrophe is about to befall your kingdom of Shenla? You don't know anything about your own affairs, but everyone else watching closely understands what's going on better than you yourself, and they're probably all enjoying the show." He laughed. "You're here to borrow the Rainmaster's spiritual device for disaster aid, right?" Those were enlightening words. It was only then that Tian realized it wasn't that the heavenly officials in the upper court were all gone at the same time. They had all known what his intentions were, and purposely shut their doors or left a long time ago to avoid him, not wanting to get pulled into his mess. He sighed, thinking, should I maybe really have paid everyone's palaces a visit at the beginning, so it would have been easier to find cooperation amongst my peers going forward? It was a depressing thought. He responded in a small voice, "That's right. If it's inconvenient for the Rainmaster, I won't be bothersome." However, the farmer said, "Why not be bothersome?" "Because it's shameful. This relates to the survival of your kingdom. Shouldn't you cause trouble and annoy us to death? Is it so hard to lower yourself a little? Young people shouldn't be so easily unnerved. Let me say something unpleasant. Should the Lord Rainmaster help, it's on account of kindness. If not, it's on account of duty. Lending the device to you wouldn't be based on mood. You can't complain after, either. Shelley knew that what he said made sense, but with such a dire situation at hand, plus his unfriendly tone, a wave of anger rolled up, and he held his head higher, sounding grave. I understand everything you're saying, and I would never complain behind anyone's back, so why must you predetermine how I am? I said I wouldn't be bothersome, simply because I don't want to do anything pointless and cause trouble for Lord Rainmaster at the same time. But if the Lord Rainmaster doesn't feel inconvenienced and I can borrow the spiritual device, so long as I am bothersome, then it would be nothing for me to offer up all 8,000 of my temples and kowtow 100 times. The farmer laughed out loud, angry, the temper of a child. Here, he said. He tossed something. Shelley raised his hand and caught a verdant bamboo hat, the very one that the farmer had had on his back. What's this? Shelley asked. The thing you want to borrow, the farmer said. The Lord Rainmaster already asked me to pass this to you before you came. Use it carefully. If you break it, we won't forgive you. Shelley's eyes widened. Why? Didn't I already tell you why? The farmer said. Lending it to you was based on mood. Other heavenly officials won't help you, so the Lord Rainmaster just had to. Whatever the Lord Rainmaster wants to do, it shall be done. Thank you so much, Shelley cried. Thank you. The farmer added, Don't be too happy so soon, Your Highness. The Lord Rainmaster may have ascended before you, but there aren't as many devotees. Therefore, the Lord Rainmaster is not as powerful as you. In addition, there are recent injuries to consider. Other than lending you that thing, the rest is all up to you. Distant waters cannot quench nearby thirst. The Rainmaster hat can move rain, but not create water. There's not enough water in Shenla, so you must borrow from the other kingdoms, and they may not be willing. Only the kingdom of Yusha has an abundant collection over the years, and is rather wealthy in that aspect. Shelian was more than aware of just how difficult it was to lend your own spiritual device to a stranger. He bowed deeply to the thatched cottage. That the Lord Rainmaster would lend a helping hand, I am profoundly grateful. I will not forget this kindness. Should there be anything I can do to help in the future, pray the Lord Rainmaster does not hesitate to ask for me. Farewell. With the spiritual device in hand, Shelian immediately found a lake in the south and ladled a large quantity of lake water with the Rainmaster hat. He crossed thousands of miles and returned to Yong'an in Shenlo. He found the worst affected village, the Bay of Langar, and flipped that bamboo hat from the clouds. Soon after, a small bout of rain fell from the sky. Shelian jumped off the clouds, landing with both feet on the ground. Those half-dead villagers could not believe their eyes. Some rushed out of their doors to cheer under the rain, and some hurriedly brought out buckets of all different sizes to collect the water. Seeing this, Shelian sighed a breath of relief, and finally revealed a smile. Just then, he heard a voice call out from afar, Your Highness. He turned his head and saw Mucheng appear from behind a tree, his face dark. Seeing his gloomy expression, Shelian knew something was wrong. What is it? He asked. Did something happen?